Welcome everyone to the North versus South FPL podcast featuring myself, Heath, and my co-host, State. How are you, buddy?
Good. Yeah, not bad, Heath. Not bad. Just living the dream this week. You know how it is.
How good was it to have football back, eh?
Oh,
Proper
God.
football.
Proper football. I mean, having Rotherham back in action this week was fantastic. It really was, after international break, in League One. Yeah, really good. But no, FPL was great, fantasy football. The Premier League was fantastic weekend. Ronaldo were back, everything was gauged towards him. We had some good games, plenty of goals. Yeah, good week, definitely. And, Watford lost us again as well.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. Thank you. I have to say that I apart from the Watford situation, I was absolutely loving the fact that the moment that Ronaldo scored, his goals, that buzz, you just turn into a football fan again, like a proper football fan. You see that, Old Trafford's got that whole kind of buzz about it again. I'm not a Man United fan, don't listen to what people say.
There was actually an atmosphere there, wasn't there?
That's what I'm saying.
Old Trafford,
yeah. And obviously Ronaldo being back and stuff. But what I loved about it wasn't just Ronaldo getting stealing the thunder. Big Rom came in and did what he does best, and he got just as many points in FPL as Ronaldo, and that really did kind of like nail that last podcast with the Rom versus Ron situation there. So I was absolutely loving that, and honestly, they both look unplayable at the moment. So
yeah, definitely do. And I saw Big Rom last night in the Champions League, and Ronaldo. They both scored again in the Champions League last night, didn't they? I mean, it was they're both quality players, and like you said, there's going to be a lot of Premier League points coming from them too for the rest of the season. That's for
100%. So. If you're new to this podcast, just to explain the format. So State is only picking players from northern teams, and I'm only picking players from southern teams. We've got a head-to-head where it's always a 6-pointer. Both of us going for the title, both of us also trying to scrap away from relegation. And we also have our mini league with other, what would you say, fans of the podcast, patrons? What would you call them?
Yeah, I'd call them definite fans, and people who are warming to our fantastic personalities.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I feel like we need to kind of branch our worldwide appeal by saying something along the lines of Guten Tag or Ni Hao Ma.
Yeah. Very good indeed.
Or yo.
Yo, what's up, son? Yeah. What's up, geezer? As the Southerners would say, all right, mate, all right, geezer. That's Danny Dyer.
All right, mate, how are you doing? You're okay, you're right.
We don't sound out like that, Northerners. Tell you what, I don't know what that sounds like, but it's not us. It's definitely not us, Yorkshire.
It's definitely someone from Coronation Street or something.
Oh, the Manx don't count. I mean, God, no, don't talk to me about them. They're across the Pennines. So, yeah. But we'll work on the accents, guys, we promise.
Yeah, apologies for anyone who's offended by that. It's just what makes us laugh. So let's get this podcast going. I just want to kind of like make sure you're well aware. Today we're going to be talking about our review of the week for the last game week. We've got our shit list. We've got a North versus South mini league update. We've got a scouted team, which is going to be Leeds United. We've got a North versus South debate / knockout, which is about the greatest ever FPL player. This time it's going to be the Southern quarterfinal. And lastly, we have got our game week preview. Yeah, so Stay, if you want to get us going with the game week review introduction.
Yes, yeah, definitely. So game week review. So pretty much what it says on the tin. We're reviewing last week's game week, which is game week 4. Obviously everyone was excited after the international break to get back into FPL. That excited. I believe there was a massive amount of wildcards played over this international sort of couple of weeks. I reckon it was staring at people. He was just picking at you, going, play your wildcard. And the problem is you didn't have just a week to try and ignore it. You have to try and ignore it for 2 weeks. And I tell you what, I definitely did not ignore it. I could not ignore it. So I don't know about any of our listeners, but yeah, there was no ignoring the wild card. It got played. I'll tell you that right now. It was played big time. So game week 4. Yeah, it was a good game week, I thought, for the Northern Super Kings. You know, I ended up with 73 points in this game week, which is nice, 16 points above the average. And you know, for just a solely Northern-based team, I'm pretty happy with that. If I'm beating the average most game weeks, so we went with Kasper Schmeichel in net. Kasper Schmeichel got me 4 points. You know, I did have a cheeky moment where I actually put Scott Carson in my squad, and he's in there as my second keeper. I actually put Scott Carson as starting because I thought Edison wasn't going to be allowed to play, and I thought if I do that, either way, I'm going to have a keeper starting because I knew Schmeichel was. So I hedged my bets a little bit. Carson didn't play, Edison played, so Edison got a clean sheet. Carson sat on his bench, did nothing, got nothing as per usual, but I got 4 points because Kasper Schmeichel made a lot of saves. He made 7 saves in the game. I mean, that's not bad, to be fair. 7 saves, you know, pretty good. I'm surprised he didn't get a bonus point, to be fair, because he stopped that game from being a lot more than 1-0, that's for sure. So, yeah, well done him. Back 4, when we were back, solid back 4, you know, we played Mike Bassett style this weekend, by the way, guys. 4-4-2, okay? That's how you play it.
3 cheers for Ramirez. Hip hip.
Hooray! Bloody losing to the bloody Mexicans. What a film. Sorry, we digress, but what a film. So, back 4 anyway. Back to the back 4 of the famous Mike Bassett formation. Rafael Varane from Manchester United. He was in there. 2 points. United conceding to Newcastle. Very frustrating, to be fair, but yeah, 2 points for him. Then my next 3 defenders, all clean sheets. Connor Cody for Wolves, 6 points. They're seriously, I know they were against your team, but I've seen Wolves games this season. They've been the best team in pretty much all of them, and they've lost 1-0. They've just not managed to score goals, you know, but they played against 3, you know, top 5, top 6 sides. They finally start playing teams who are going to be below them. They're going to start winning games, and they're going to keep clean sheets as well. So Connor, well done. You've done a good job there, my friend. And you know, if you listen to any of his sort of post-match interviews, he's pretty good. He's pretty funny. Good lad. I wouldn't mind getting him on the show. That'd be quite good. Joel Matip, 6 points for Liverpool, centre-half. You know, I think a few people weren't thinking he'd play this season probably because they signed that Canate. But Matip's there next to Van Dijk. And, well, Liverpool have kept 3 clean sheets this season in the 4 games they've played, and he's been playing every single minute of them. So, you know, I think for, you know, 5 million, that's a frigging steal. You got to pay 6.5 million to get Van Dijk, and he ain't going to get you too many more points, to be fair, because they're both doing the same thing. And neither of them are going up and scoring 10 goals a season either. So, yeah. And then other centre-half, 7 points. Mr. Ruben Diaz, Man City, best centre-half in the league, definitely. Probably going to be the highest scoring centre-half as well in the league this season. I'll probably put money on as well. So, yeah, well done, Ruben Diaz. Midfield 4, Mo Salah, 8 points. You keep scoring, Mo. You know, just Mr. Consistent, that guy, isn't he? You know, keeps doing the job. He'll be there all season if he doesn't get injured. He was vice captain this week. Well, I think you'll all know who's captain. Damari Gray, 7 points. What a start to the season he's having, eh? What do you think about Damari, Heath? You like him?
Yeah, I really like him. He's the kind of player I like on Football Manager, out and out winger. You're Leon Bailey, Jadon Sancho, and Damari Gray. You know, he just looked like his career was floundering a little bit. He went to Germany, came back, and they got him for an absolute steal, like 1.5 million or something.
Yeah.
It's been unbelievable.
I was always surprised that he didn't sort of get much more of an opportunity at Leicester, but obviously managers didn't fancy him for some reason. And then he goes to Everton, and you sort of think, well, if other managers who were seen as maybe a bit more adventurous didn't like him, why would Rafa Benitez like him? But Benitez has obviously seen something in him. You know, I love Benitez. I think he's brilliant. You know, one of my favourite managers of all time. And, you know, he's obviously, you know, giving him some confidence. He's getting on the ball. I mean, he scored 3 goals in his last 3. He's scored a goal in his last 3 games now. So well done, Damari Gray. You're doing a good job there. You and Andros Townsend are proving to be good signings for Everton. So if you're looking at Everton players, guys, them two are definitely people to look at because they don't cost that much either. So again, good work. Stuart Dallas, 2 points. Leeds are having a tough start of things at the moment, but he just got standard 2 points. And then Diogo Jota. I really want to. I'll get onto this one in the shit list, to be fair, because I took some bad advice with him. But 3 points, thank you. And yeah, we know where that's coming. Don't be grinning at me, Heath. Tell you. Me and you'll have words later. Though you were a shit list coming up. Then we go on to the front two. Patrick Bamford, good 2 points from Patrick. Didn't expect much more really against Liverpool for Leeds. They're not going to do much against them, to be fair. But then Big Ron, Capitan, scored 13 points, so gave me 26 points, 2 goals, and 3 points bonus. Now, he got the bonus purely on the fact that he scored 2 goals, obviously, and he's Ronaldo. He wasn't the best player on the pitch in that game, that's for sure. But I don't care because he was my captain. So well done, people who give him bonus points. Thank you. So yeah, bench. There was no points on the bench barring Mr. Jacob Murphy got 1 point. So I was far, everyone else. Calvert-Lewin, I had him. I brought him in my wild card, and it's really backfired because. And that's another thing that's going to come up in the shit list. To be fair, thank you again for some great advice. Yeah, so Calvert-Lewin was injured and he's out for at least 6 weeks now. And Mason Holgate is also he was a nil point. So yeah. So if you're wondering why there's some laughter here, I mean.
Check out last week's pod, basically.
Yeah, check out last week's podcast and go towards the end if you don't want to listen to the rest of it and just find out why there's going to be some shit going on in our shit list today.
Basically, check out the reason why the podcast went above the hour 15 that we've been doing, recently. It's 2 wild cards and a lot of advice from me, which is it's not gone down too well. No, but as State says, that's to come, by the sounds of it.
But the good news is I got 73 points, and 73 points is a good score, I believe, and I'm really keen to find out who won the game week as well. What did your team do, please, mate? Let me tell me.
So
you tell me now. Come on, don't be shy.
The confidence, the arrogance, the loud and proud Heath has dropped down a peg or two because of this very, very poor game week. This is always going to happen. When Tottenham had a stinker, when West Ham have a stinker, I'm going to be having a stinker, given that I've got 6 players from both teams. So, yeah, 46 points. I played my wild card too. I didn't get any advice from State, and if I had done, I wouldn't have listened to it.
I'm not going to give you advice because I don't need to give you advice because you clearly have some great knowledge on a few things.
I know that's sarcastic, but I actually genuinely believe that. In goal, David Raya. Unfortunately, I reckon he was on for a big score. I reckon he would have got his clean sheet. Oh, actually, to be fair, and he got 1 save, so maybe he wasn't on for the big score, but he could have got a bonus point. You never know. But he conceded a last-minute goal to Brighton, so I'm not going to have too many grudges against that. It was a good goal as well. Now with Sergio Reguilon, he got the 1-pointer, the first blank of the season for the big man. So fair play to him. Not going to have too many issues. And then the rest of my defense, were perfect. I finally got some points from an Arsenal player, Kieran Tierney. Yeah, got me 7 points. He got a clean sheet and he got a cheeky bonus. That's what I was hoping he would do.
What did he get a bonus point for?
He just constantly gets balls into the box. He constantly gets forward. I mean, he's always got.
It doesn't mean the good balls in the box, though, does it?
Doesn't matter.
No one got on the end of one, did they? There was no assist in there.
FPL just want quantity. They don't want quality.
Fair enough then.
Which and then on the other side, I got Vladimir Dufal, who got me a clean sheet, bit of a stinker of a game for them against Southampton, but I think they probably would have taken that at the beginning of the season. But yeah, he got clean sheet with 6 points. Antonio Rudiger got 6 points, probably the best centre half in the whole league. Much better than Ruben Diaz, without a doubt.
Oh, God. I mean, he's good, really good. Don't get me wrong. And I tell you what, he's clearly like, if you were going to put your money on a mainstay in the Chelsea 3 centre halves, it's really good. It's going to be there every week, that's for sure. You know,
definitely.
In Aspilicueta, probably Christensen has been, but then you know they brought in Chalobah a few times, and now and there's Thiago Silva. So I think, I think Rudiger's. He's quality as a guy, definitely.
I think Silva came back for Christensen, this week. For me, I'm happy I went with Rudiger over Christensen because it was quite tempting, given he was 0.5 less. But yeah, my midfield was a bit of a letdown all the way through. So Odegaard, 3 points. Dele Alli, 2 points. Ben Rama, 3 points. Nothing to talk about. Ridiculous, really. And now we're going to get to a point where it's really stung me and hurt me. This front three, all right. Now you'd be thinking we should be quite happy with it because
Heath, sorry, you missed out Son. What happened to Son?
No, so I took Son out. I knew he was injured, so I've got like 3.8 million in the bank, and I know that the moment he comes back, Dele Alli's gone. You know. So yeah, I have that all prepared for when I have my next free transfer, which is a while away now.
Don't, I tell you what, don't get injured in folks if you're in Heath's team because you're out within a second. Crikey.
I'm afraid so. Yeah, he's had a reputation of last season under Mourinho getting injured, but then magically coming back very quickly. So I kind of did think that there might be a chance, but didn't want to risk it on a wild card, and I know that I've got the money in the bank, so it'll be back soon. So yeah, so you can kind of breathe for another week because I can't bring him in this week because of that fine you gave me. So and just to FYI, if you didn't listen to the podcast, I think it might have been either the fine from last week or the week before, but State basically has given me 2 fines. One I'm about to talk about, which is I can't make a free transfer this week, and the other one is coming up. All right. And this one is basically, I had my heart set on Romelu Lukaku against Aston Villa at home as my captain. And if that had happened, I would have been absolutely laughing. I would have been laughing all the way to the bank, you know.
Yeah. You would have been laughing at the end of the week, though.
No, I was still been quite sad that I lost the game week, but I still would have been laughing that, I had extra 13 points. So I had Lukaku, but I didn't have him as captain. So he just got me the 13 points. But I had Harry Kane as captain against Crystal Palace, and unfortunately just got me the 2 points. Played awful by the sounds of it. Didn't have any chances. And now I'm regretting my wild card because that was the main reason to do it, to get Kane in.
Could have been worse. You could have had Antonio as captain.
And that leads me nicely to Mikel Antonio, who got a -1. Now, he was my vice captain. So in a way, I'm quite happy that Harry Kane just played. Because that's 3 points, but yeah, so no, I was, it was a tricky situation, but that's the thing about this podcast, you get a fine, you have to adhere to it, you get on with it, all right, you suck it up. And to be fair, I've had some good weeks previous to this, so I have to accept this poor week.
Brownhill.
Yeah, exactly. So I had Foster on the bench, not expecting anything from him because I knew he was injured, but he got 0. Mount, who was in my starting lineup, unfortunately, I thought he was a guaranteed starter in Chelsea's lineup. Wasn't, apparently.
Rested him, didn't they?
So although he got 0 points, it wasn't too bad because Soufal came in for the 6-pointer. And then I got Cucurella, who did get, not only did he get a clean sheet for Brighton, but he got a bonus, which is a good sign of things to come, hopefully. Left back for Brighton.
First game of the season, wasn't
it? He's got that sideshow Bob kind of look about him. And then the guy who I wasn't expecting much from, but I suppose deep down and secretly as a Watford fan, I was kind of hoping he would do something. Moussa Sissoko with a solid 2-pointer. What you really expect from your 4.5 million third sub, but at the same time,
he'll get you 2 points, 3 points if you keep a clean sheet most weeks, and maybe every now and then he might pick up a goal or the odd assist.
Maybe. But overall, I'm not too happy with that. I mean, the average points was 57, so 46 is not that good. I've taken a massive. I see a lot of. Exactly. I see a lot of red arrows in all of my my leagues, in my head-to-head. In the general league, I've dropped all the way down to 2.4 million, which is fine. But, apart from that, it's all good.
So yeah. Basically, don't anyone who's listening, don't take his wildcard week advice ever. Okay, he might be good on other things, but he's clearly shown that wildcard weeks are not for him. They're just not. He just don't have it. Don't have. That's not how he works.
The wild card is not just for the first week, though. I like to say it is a long-term project, and I played that wild card to get the best out of my front three. And I'm not going to lie to you, the fact that I've got Kane, Lukaku, and Antonio, I'm loving life. Until I saw them play the other day, especially 2 out of 3. But
not bad 3. But...
Yeah, so I feel like it's probably about time now that we start kind of complaining and moaning about things, because there's been no complaining or moaning so far. So here comes the shit list. The shit list, if you haven't listened to this pod before, is a list compiled by both myself and State. We can only have a max of 5 players. This can be players, it could be referees. We've had managers. I've been on State shit list last week. So, you could be as creative as you want to be. I've got a feeling I might be on this shit list again. Without further ado, State, give me the good news.
Good news. Oh, there's a lot of good news today. A lot of good news. And the first bit of good news for you, Heath, is you are still on the shit list. Yes, that is for sure. Okay?
Beautiful.
Because, right, as we briefly mentioned already, that the shit list is, is there for a reason. Heath was on it last week, mainly because I wanted to put him on there because it was a dickhead who beat me, so it was more out of bitterness last week, I think.
Rage.
Oh, and I thought he put a curse. Yeah, and I thought he put a curse on some of my players as well, which I think he did. So anyway, the reason he's on it this week, though, is actual for real reasons, and it's my own fault a little bit for listening to him. But as we've said to each other, we're friends. We'll try and help each other out when it comes to the moments and the times in life. Okay, the difficult times as well, and we were going for his game week, who are we gonna play, who's gonna come in, etc. And I had a lad called Mason Greenwood in my side, and I was like, yeah, Mason Greenwood, he's in there. Okay, he's doing really well at the moment. Yeah, Ronaldo's coming in, but they're still going to start Greenwood. Definitely still going to start Greenwood. So I'm thinking, right, Greenwood's in. Then I'm also thinking strike force as well. So I've got a striker in there. I'm thinking Richarlison stays in at the moment because he's playing. Yeah, he's not done as well after the first game, but we all know what he's about. But again, I get this niggling doubt in my ear, and it's Heath, and he's there saying, "Oh, have you not got Diogo Jota in your team? I mean, what's going on? Surely you've got to have him in. He's Firmino's out injured, blah blah blah. So you got to put him in." And I'm thinking, look, I know what he's on about here, but no, I'm not fancying it. But he doesn't stop. He keeps going. He's using all these yammer, as you Southerners say, and then he goes, and where on earth is Calvert-Lewin? Why have you not got him in your team? And I'm like, to be fair to him, Calvert-Lewin, yeah, he probably should. He was definitely, should be in my team from the wild card. He'd had a good start to the season, 3 games, 3 goals. So to be honest, yeah, Calvert-Lewin. Yeah, I'm thinking he's actually talking a bit of sense here, and because of that, I probably thought, well, he's definitely. I think he's right on one thing, so I'll bring Jota in. Game week comes up, Calvert-Lewin has an injury. Oh my god, he's not expected back for a few weeks. I'm like, okay, could be worse. Then Rafa comes out after last night on Monday night's game and says he's out for 6 weeks. Wild card's gone well. So he's on for that. And also, Jota got 3 points. Mason Greenwood, he got more points as well. So he was on the shit list.
I just like to point out to to anyone listening, I did get a call from State while I was in the middle of a social gathering. I thought, I'll leave that. I'll let that go to voicemail. And it State's northern voice telling me how happy he was that he listened to my voice. What was that all about then? I don't even know which players you were talking about. I can't remember who I recommended and who I told you not to get.
I'm sure there was a lot of sarcastic tones in my voice. If there wasn't, it should have been. That's for sure.
Okay, fair enough. Right. Well, to be honest, I thought you were doing well. I saw Ronaldo had scored, and I thought, he's mugging me right off. I'm not gonna answer this.
I think I called you after he scored his second as well. To be fair, I think I left it after the first because I was like, need him to score 2 for it to be really worthwhile.
Well, that's an exclusive. You guys have just found out that I had no idea that his voicemail was sarcastic. So it's an exclusive, but not just you guys, but for me too.
Yeah, awesome work. So Heath, you are on the shit list.
Thank you.
Mr. Varane, you're on the shit list as well for not keeping clean sheets against Newcastle United. Now, Newcastle United don't score goals if Callum Wilson's not playing, and Callum Wilson wasn't playing. So conceding to them, very, very disappointing. So Varane, you've gone on the shit list. And so have both of my Leeds players. I know you're playing Liverpool, but fucking hell, come on, guys. I mean, marching on together to relegation, it seems to be at the moment, is the cheering bloody hellfire. I mean, yeah, we've had a tough start, blah, blah, blah. You can't defend at the moment. I mean, you've got the run of games now, so, let's see what happens. I mean, they're the Friday night game away at Newcastle this week, aren't they? So it's, I think, it'll be interesting. I do think Leeds are a better team away from home probably this year. I mean, before when the crowd's not been there at Ellen Road, I know the crowd's great there and and everything. Leeds fans always go on about it, but I think Leeds are a better team away from home because they're not sort of got the crowd sort of pushing them on to try and push and win games. That's not how they work really. They don't have they don't play that way in my opinion. I think they're a better side when they're the away team. And, they do that high press still, they work hard and everything. And, they sort of like, silence the opposition crowd better. Whereas I think when they're at home, I think this year they're going to feel a lot more pressure to deliver in the Premier League because season before, obviously, they didn't have any home fans there. So
maybe they've been found out. Maybe the teams know how to play against it. Maybe it's a predictable system.
Are they Sheffield United this season? Maybe. But anyway, well, I'm going to say a lot of people thinking that as well. I must admit, it wouldn't bother me if they went down at all. More than happy about that. So Leeds, you took Dallas and Bamford are both on there. They need to start scoring some regular points. I mean, I know Dallas is cheap and he did well last year, but that was last year. I mean, God. Last year's last year. It's like if you win Super 6 last week, that's gone though after last week. Yeah, the money's there, but you need to be focusing on this week now, kids. So come on, that's what they need to be doing. So Leeds on the shit list. So 2 Leeds players, 1 Man United player, and Heath shit list. Heath's number 1 on the shit list as well.
2 weeks in a row. Sure. Lovely stuff.
2 weeks. I tell you what, you're consistent. Well played.
Well, okay. So my shit list is dominated around red. I saw red when I saw these guys get red, and the first one is I've got 2 people on the shit list for the same instant really. Japhet Tanganga, who got sent off for what was a stupid second yellow, really didn't need to dive in, very silly, young guy, obviously lacking experience, and Wilfried Zaha for basically throwing a hissy fit over. Yeah, to be fair, I thought Tanganga's tackle on Zaha was pretty dreadful for Premier League tackle. Arms in the neck, that kind of stuff. It looked pretty woeful. Zaha had every right to kind of do that, but his reaction is just over the top as well. It's different for him. He's nearly 30. The guy should be more mature. He's been playing in the Premier League for a while now. He should be used to what's going to happen. He needs to just bite his lip and just calm down. But the fact is that him doing what he did meant that Tanganga got wound up and ended up getting a red card. That pissed me off. So they're both on my shit list. Then the next one with a red card was Mikel Antonio. I don't give a shit how many goals and assists you score previously. If you get yourself a red card in the last minute of a Premier League game, you're an absolute wally. What are you playing at? And again, exactly the same as Tanganga. He's been booked for a stupid scuffle with Stevens, and then he goes in and dives in for another tackle. It's just ridiculous. What? And again, he's got no excuses. He's not young. He's not. It's just.
It was a pot. Paul really. It was just showing a lack of intelligence, basically. All these people out there who sort of say footballers don't have brains. Well, you're sort of proving that adage correct, guys, there by stupid things like that. It's just don't need it. And you're costing people fantasy league points. Do you not know the real importance of football?
Devastating.
It's not Premier League wins. It's not scoring goals. It's scoring fantasy league points, guys. And and you're costing them. The only thing that would have made Antonio's red card better, and it'd have been on my great list today if Heath had captained him. Then I'd have been a lot happy because he'd have been on -2 points then.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. That did come into. He was my vice captain, so he wasn't far away. But yeah, I mean, in a way, maybe I should forgive Mikel because of what he's done before and the fact that the red cards he's suspended for Man United, so gives him a rest. Yeah, it gives him a rest so that he goes and plays Leeds next, scores a hat-trick, that kind of stuff. But yeah, the red cards, those 2 red cards pissed me off. I'm not going to lie. Tanganga, his red card directly fucked me over this week because Reguilon, Dele Alli, Harry Kane, the spine of my team were completely redundant after that red card. Palace's fans got on Spurs' backs and they never really had a chance after that, especially the penalty after.
You had clean sheets as well at that point. It was 0-0 when he got sent.
Spurs normally have a good record against Palace and Kane normally has a good record. So Japhet Tanganga, you've got to be number 1 on the list. But one other person who's on the shit list, who's sneaking his way in there, it hasn't really been mentioned that much by people. Freddie Woodman, the Newcastle United goalkeeper. Do you know why you're on the shit list, buddy? Do you know why? Because you were shit. You were literally shit. You're the Ronaldo goal. He must have had him on as triple captain. Ronaldo was Freddie Woodman's triple captain this week. He must have been. He basically let one through him. And the other one, I mean, he just palmed it to him. Went, here you go, buddy. In you go. Nice little tap in. Are you onside? Oh, well, there you go. There's guaranteed points for my fantasy team. So Freddie Woodman, if you're listening, I know your game. I know your game, buddy. I know exactly what you've done. And you're on my shit list this week for that. All right. And everyone's saying about Ronaldo being incredible. Yeah, all right, you've got to be in it to win it. But the fact is, if your goalkeeper's basically giving it to you or letting it through them, then I'm not happy with that. So those 13 points could have just been a nice spicy 2 points for you. And maybe we would have been on for a little bit more of a tussle than we were, So Freddie, you're on there. Tanganga, number 1, Zaha, Mikel Antonio and Freddie Woodman. That's my shit list.
Good shit list. Very, very liking that. Very much liking that. Yeah, so we've obviously done the shit list. And I think, as I think we've mentioned before, we've been, really happy with some of the uptake we've had and people joining our North versus South League as well, with some North teams and South teams. So, Heath, who's any big movers this game week in the North versus South League?
Well, I'll start at the top and I'll work my way down to the bottom. Looks like team 5 Deer by Summit Deer is going away from John Rogerson and Betty Swallocks FC. He's given himself a 10-point lead there. It looks like Summit is looking like the Man City of the mini league at the moment. And we've got it looks like, Fornals, Attire Now. I
don't want to hear the rest of that. Stop right now. We're not giving that man any coverage on this podcast. No chance.
Okay. Well, he didn't nail an 80 pointer then. I'll just leave it at that. And he's not in 4th place. So I just leave it at that then. Okay.
Don't want to hear it.
Now we get to the bit that you want me to talk about. And out of all the Northern and Southern teams, who's number 1 out of those teams? The ones that can only pick North or South players? State. Who is the Northern Super Kings, 73 points. He's now gone up to 8th, but technically in the North or South teams, he's number 1, closely followed by myself. And then we've got, Harrison Copley, Ned Stark's my dad, as we like to seem to shout him out every week. He's come off the bottom of the league by a point.
Go on, Harrison, son.
Yeah, El Badger Poopers is now officially bottom of the table. That's Nick Edwards' team. So Unfortunate for Nick, and congratulations, Harrison. Hopefully you can work your way up the league and try and get close to your buddy Eddie Moran, who is in 17th, the King of the South.
Have you looked at Nick's team?
I am now looking at Nick's team.
I mean, he's got 2 goalkeepers who are not in existence playing. He's got
Abby and Delson is starting lineup.
He's got a guy who's on a season-long loan from Wolves somewhere. He's got a guy at Brentford who's played 0 minutes so far.
He's meant to be good, that guy.
Yeah, like you said, Fabian Delph in there. I mean, hopefully you're well, Nick, but you really need to log into your fantasy team, kid, because this is not good. But then again, he still didn't get the least amount of points in the game week. I want you to give a shout out to the person who got the least amount of points in the game week, because we know the fella, so that'd be quite good.
Is that Simon Dent?
Oh yeah,
it's like Dentos, McGinn and Tonic with a solid 41 points. Currently mid-table mediocrity, going 16th place, on his way down to the bottom of the league, trying to find El Badger Poopers. And I mean, he's had an absolute stinker there. Let's just have a quick look at his team to laugh at him. Oh, Antonio captain. Beautiful.
Brilliant.
I love it.
Brilliant. We went to university with this guy, and just so you all know, it's not that we know anything, but we went to uni with him.
We like to mock. We could actually probably maybe we should have a podcast next time where we just take the piss out of everyone in our mini league who.
I think we should get him on the next podcast just for a 5-minute review about what he was thinking.
I think I'd struggle not to do Alan Partridge impressions if he comes on, so maybe that's not a good idea. But yeah, thanks again, guys, for joining the league. Ultimately, we're really happy to have you. I'm not going to put it out to anyone else anymore. I'm not going to give the code. If someone wants to join it, they can ask me. Realistically, I'm happy with the 24 we've got. We've got a great little bunch there in our mini league. So yeah, keep up the good work, guys. And I just like to also point out with the El Badger Poopers that Nick had actually started with Good from Brentford and Marquez as his starting players, and Cancelo came on with a nice 12 points. So chose not to start Cancelo or Bamford. Bamford was his other guy who came on. Can see that one because they're playing Liverpool. Fair enough, but maybe you might need to have a little tinker with your team there, mate. Yeah. So thanks again, guys. Now we're talking about our scouted team. I believe our man State here went out and about and went to see his favourite Northern team. In fact, his favourite team in the whole wide world. Leeds United marching on together was State and Leeds United hand in hand. What have you got for me, buddy? What did you see that other people haven't seen?
Leeds United should hopefully go down at the end of this season.
That's good. That's a good start.
Well, just to put on the record, if those who haven't listened to other podcasts, but I don't support Leeds United. And because I don't support Leeds United, that pretty much means I hate them like everyone else does, mainly. They're not my most hated team. Sheffield Wednesday is still that, but yeah, Leeds are still up there. But yeah, I'll tell you what I have, as much as dislike this for Leeds, can't argue but say they're in entertaining games. Last season, they were fantastic to watch. So a breath of fresh air to the Premier League. And, Bielsa clearly knows what he's doing managerial-wise. And yeah, you couldn't argue last season that if you were watching Leeds, you knew you were in for, a good day on, in terms of on the whether you're watching on the box or, around with mates or whatever, you knew you were going to watch a good game. I watched the Man United Leeds game at Old Trafford last season with a close friend of mine who was a Leeds fan. That was very satisfying, to be fair. But now Leeds this season they've had a tough start, and they've played some good teams. They've played United away, they've played Liverpool. I mean, Everton obviously were doing really well under Rafa, and they got a point there. Burnley away, they only drew with, but I think I don't think they'll have that second season syndrome where they're going to go down or anything. I just don't see that happening. I think, Bielsa's too good of a manager, and I think they They play in a way that I don't think the lesser teams in the league will be able to still handle them really that well. So they've got a good run of games coming up now. So I think it's a perfect time to have scouted them, because you're going to see them play Newcastle, West Ham, Watford, Southampton, Wolves, Norwich. Those are their next 6 games. And I'm sure Leeds fans will be hoping for 4 wins out of those 6 games, definitely. That'd be what I'd be targeting if I were them. And there's definitely a lot of winnable games there. And if there's winnable games, that means there's winnable points, and that's why I'm scouting them this week. So we've got different scouting categories. So we've got good from afar, but far from good, which basically means a good player but a low scorer. We've got your differential, which is your underestimated big point scorer, your newcomer, your new player to the league, set piece extraordinaire, and then captain fantastic, your consistent scorer. Those are the options we've got when we're scouting. That's what we're looking for. We'll start with, this won't be a surprise that I'm saying this guy. This is Leeds United, in my opinion, best player. He was fantastic for England in the Euros. He's everywhere. His energy's great. His passing ability's good. He can break up play. I'll be one of the first to admit that I doubted whether he should have started for England in the Euros. But in my opinion, he was better than Declan Rice in all but one of the games in the Euros, basically, in my opinion. And West Ham fans can slate me for that, but I think Calvin Phillips was fantastic. And he's definitely good from afar, but far from good in terms of point scoring. He's not going to score you many points. He's going to play every game for Leeds if he's fit, that's for sure. But he ain't going to score you fantasy points, because that's not what he does. He might do the pre-assist before an assist. But last season he scored 1 goal and got 2 assists and he played a lot of minutes. So he ain't going to score you points, but he's a cracking player to watch. And if you take him out of Leeds' team, then they definitely probably are going to struggle. I could see him. He's a Leeds lad, but he could be playing at one of the top 6 clubs, next season very easily enough. If someone's struggling for a holding midfielder in January, and they've got European football, still he'd be someone to go for. That's for sure. So he's that person, good from afar, but far from good in terms of a good player, but not a big point scorer. So only get him in if you just try to get someone cheap in for 5 million. Onto a differential. Last season, obviously, there were a lot of players who scored a lot of points, so you probably didn't think that. But Stuart Dallas is definitely a big contender for this. He had a great season last year, 171 points. Jack Harrison, 160 points. These players were, are a bit of a differential, because last season they definitely would have been, because no one would have estimated them to score you that many points. So I think that's a big thing. Your differential for me, it was a bit underestimated, is the goalkeeper, Meslier. Now, he got 154 points last season. They kept 11 clean sheets, got 20 bonus points, but he made 140 saves. So he made a lot of saves, which is, put this way, there's 38 games in a season. He's making more than 3 saves a game on average, which means he's getting an extra save point bonus there every week, basically. That means. So that's a great thing to have, which means he's got a good chance of bonus points. He also good on the ball. His distribution's pretty good. So again, good point. So I think he's your sort of differential if you're going to look for a keeper to sort of get you some points, especially over the next 6 weeks, where I think they've got a chance of maybe keeping some more clean sheets. Then there you go. He's my differential. I think
that's a really good differential, mate, because he was exactly what I was thinking. Because last season, like you say, Dallas for sure, Harrison, not many people knew how good he was really points wise. But Meslier, I think it's because he's a bit flappy, because he's not very convincing. He's not your traditional kind of goalkeeper who, really very good at coming for the ball and stuff like that. He's a bit of a punchy kind of flap at the ball kind of goalkeeper, but he's a good shot stopper. And I think people kind of maybe wrote him off a little bit at the beginning of last season, thinking he's not going to last. But in the end, he was one of the, like you say, one of the top goalkeepers, in the Premier League, without a doubt.
Definitely so. So I think he could be good.
How much is he? Is he 5 million this year?
5 million. 5 million at the moment. So I don't think that's bad value for money. Don't get me wrong. There's other keepers, around there. But I think, yeah, I don't think that's bad, and I think Leeds will do all right, eventually this season as well. So yeah. Then on to the newcomer, the new player to the league. Well, I mean, Leeds haven't made many signings, to be fair, this summer. I mean, the signings they made the fullback Firpo, left back, who's started 3 games so far. Got not exactly setting the world alight yet, but I think the sort of the newcomer, although he's not a newcomer to the Premier League, I think he's gonna sort of definitely do a lot more this season than what he did last season. I think that's the lad Rodrigo, who was a newcomer last season. He played second fiddle at Bamford, but I think they'll maybe play Rodrigo maybe in like a number 10 role sometimes this season. And back end of last season, he started showing what he was capable of. So I think he could be like the sort of newcomer in a way where he's actually going to probably start getting involved this season properly a lot more. I think he's been involved in a few more games already at the start of the season, and I fancy him as sort of a bit of a newcomer. Like I said, it's a bit cheating by him being there last season, but he didn't play loads of minutes last season. He was he wasn't a starter at all. I think he'll start a lot more this season and should hopefully pick up some points for him as well. Hopefully he'll probably take off a little bit of pressure off Bamford maybe as well, but he's got a bit of quality on him. So that's that. Your set piece extraordinaire, the guy who takes free kicks, corners, penalties. Well, I mean, penalty taker for Leeds is generally Mr. Klitsch. I think he's the number 1 penalty taker. So you've got him for penalties. He's not expensive. He's 5.5 million. He's already scored 1 goal this season, obviously. And so he's there to. He's there. He's there. He takes penalties. Bamford, I think, is the other penalty taker they might have if Klitsch isn't there. Your free kicks, Rafinha's the one on the free kicks and the corners, I think, a lot of the time, and he's a top player. So I think you're looking at those 3 set piece players at Leeds. Captain, fantastic, consistent scorer. You can't really look beyond probably Patrick Bamford, I think, with Leeds. He got 194 points last season. He's their main guy up front. He works his ass off. He's the one who's going to score the goals through. He got 17 last season. But because of his work rate, he also gets quite a lot of assists. He got 11 assists last year, which is, I think, pretty good going for a striker at the end of the day. You don't see, loads and loads of strikers getting that many assists, in my opinion. But he did, he got a lot of assists there. 11 assists is good work. I would probably imagine that out of all the strikers last season, obviously, Harry Kane got more, but I don't think there'll be many more who got more than assists than Bamford last season. So he's a consistent player who's going to be a scorer. He's going to start for Leeds. He's going to be the one scoring more of their goals than anyone else, and he gets the assists. So I'd have him in front of your Dallas and your Harrisons. Last season, I think they obviously both did well, but I don't think you'll see them hitting the same numbers this year. Whereas Bamford may not quite hit those same numbers, but he still should be up there. So yeah, that's me.
Nice, yeah, really like it, mate. Rafinha, for me, I just see him as someone if I could pick him in my team, I'd have him every week, because he's not only as a quality player, plays for one of the teams that you kind of get excited to watch, but also for me, because he's such a talisman for him, I would say he's fixture proof. I think he can get points against anyone. He'll play most games, if not all. Bamford's a very good player to have. I think a lot of people will be jumping on him this week because these fixtures. But the only thing is that his goals, he hasn't been scoring as many goals this season, but his stats have still been just as consistent as last year. So those goals should be coming, really. It's just probably a matter of time, really. I think Leeds are a very funny team. They've got a bit of an injury crisis at the back at the moment.
The strength and depth's not there, that's for sure.
No, but I think that's how Bielsa likes it, isn't it? I think he likes the idea of having a smaller squad to work with, so that they kind of all stick together and they work as hard as the next. I think that's the mentality that comes across from Leeds.
But yeah, so that was the scouted team week. So hopefully people enjoyed it, got a little bit of knowledge about Leeds United if you didn't already. I now expect to see from my scouting performance a huge increase in transfers of Leeds players into people's sides on the game week looking. So hopefully we'll be seeing those 20%ers from my knowledge. Who knows? But that leads us on to, because going from a team that's not really had great FPL pedigree because they've not been in the Premier League during the FPL since the Fantasy League's gone on for that long. We go on to what me and Heath have sort of started as a bit of a core feature. Basically, it's a knockout. So it's a North versus South. It's a knockout debate, which is basically our debate for the greatest FPL player in the history of the game. Okay. And we're talking since the FPL started, right? So we're not going into the 90s, the 80s, we're not talking Georgie Best, Duncan Edwards, we're not talking Cantona's and that in the 90s. We're talking in the FPL period, so since the game's been going. So last week it was my quarterfinals, so if you want to have a look at that, go look at his previous episode where we saw some great players and a couple of close calls, to be fair, and a couple of pretty comfortable ones. So, but this week Heath's doing the Southern quarterfinals, so I'm sure he'll give us a quick recap of who went through and out in the preliminary rounds, and then let us know his quarterfinal lineup. And I'm looking forward to this one. Heath, you've got a lot of good players there, so let's see what happens.
Yeah, so just to start with the preliminaries or the qualifiers. So we had Watford versus Brighton. Basically, the qualifiers for teams with at least amount of Premier League experience. So we had Watford versus Brighton, Deeney versus Gross. Deeney just about scraped through because it's Deeney.
Be honest.
I'll miss him already. I think his stats were just that little bit better, and because it was so tight, Deeney's been doing it for a little bit longer. Gross had one very good season and then hasn't really kept it going. And then we have it was Crystal Palace versus Brentford. Brentford obviously have only just come into the Premiership for the first time, so I went with Ivan Toney. Obviously, he can't really compete against who I went for Palace, which is Wilfried Zaha. So Zaha and Deeney went through. So Palace and Watford went through. And using a random fixture generator on a random site, I'm not going to give credit to because I can't remember what it's called. I built up a new fixture list for the quarterfinals. So today we have Southampton versus Spurs. We have Watford versus Chelsea. We have Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. We have West Ham versus Aston Villa. And the idea being is that we'll get down to a semi-finals and then a final. And then our finalists from the southern section will play States finalists from the northern section.
There are two mouth-watering clashes there, in my opinion. Southampton Spurs should be a belter debate.
Well, if that's the case, then I'll start with the first two, which I wasn't going to, but as kind of like doing the opposite to match of the day, we'll kind of end on the best till last, I guess. So we'll start with Watford versus Chelsea, and this is quite a simple debate, so I'm not going to talk about it for too long. You got Troy Deeney, who just scores penalties and runs around and bumps into people. No, I'm joking. He did a lot more than that, and like I'm not going to disrespect him. I'm not. No, Troy was a leader. I love him to bits. He's one of Watford's greatest ever players. It's simple as that. But he's not one of the greatest ever FPL players.
He can choose from Chelsea.
He can't compete against any of the Chelsea players. And now, for me personally, Chelsea have a lot of very good players over the years. You had your Eden Hazards, you had your Ian Robbins, you've also had Didier Drogba. I just want to slide on the carpet, do his celebration, salute you, State, with a Drogba kind of a smile on his face. Actually, he normally used to go quite like straight faced, didn't he, with those? Really, a little bit of the old arms out and stuff. Yeah. Real arrogance. That guy, I love that guy.
Why haven't you picked him then?
I haven't picked him because it goes without saying that this person, and also I'd like to also point out that Chelsea have always, kind of had a very good defense with players like Ashley Cole, Peter Cech, John Terry, even Azpilicueta. And the fact is that, it's very tough, but there's only one player stands out for me, and that's Frank Lampard. Now, if you remember back in the day, Frank Lampard, along with, in my opinion, Cristiano Ronaldo, and to a lesser extent, Steven Gerrard, were at that point the only three players you would captain, but you could leave that captain on them every single week, right? Lampard scored double figures in 9 consecutive seasons for Chelsea. And just want to remind you, he was playing centre midfield. He did take free kicks, he did take penalties, but the whole idea behind this idea of the greatest ever FPL player is not just the stats alone. You want to have the idea that stats, along with this sense of comfort, knowing that if you were to pick that player right now for this game week coming up, if Lampard was playing again, it would back in 2006 or 2007 or something, and he's playing, you would be comfortable picking him as a captain because you knew, A, he takes free kicks, he takes penalties, he gets in the box, he does everything. The guy is a natural born winner. And unfortunately, Troy, you don't come close. So
definitely not.
Frank, Frank Lampard is through to the semi-finals. I think
he got you a clean sheet bonus most weeks in Chelsea's defence as well, wasn't it?
Exactly. So that's straight away 3 points, and if you captain, that's 6 already without even him having to do anything. So yeah, Lampard's through to semi-finals. I mean, that has got to be proper one-side, nearly as one-sided as the next one, which is Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. Again, Arsenal have had some fantastic players. Cesc Fabregas's, Adebayor's, Van Persie, of course. Van Persie was incredible at Arsenal, FPL-wise. Although, realistically, again, it comes down to someone who probably one of the best FPL players of all time, and to be honest, one of the favourites in my opinion for the best FPL player. It's got to be Thierry Henry. The stats are kind of important here, but Henry was the original. He's like the OG of FPL players. If there are people out there who played FPL when it first started, I think it's around 2002, 2003 season. If you played it then and Henry wasn't your captain most weeks, then you were probably in the Nick Edwards, Badger Poopers kind of mentality. The fact is that Henry was an absolute monster of a goal scorer. He scored goals, he assisted. His stats were 175 goals and 74 assists in 258 games. He scored 25 plus goals 3 consecutive seasons and then got his big move to Barcelona. But by the time he left, I think he was around 14 million and he kind of lost a little bit of interest and people stopped picking him because it's too expensive. But yeah, Henry beat Zaha. I don't need to talk about Zaha really, as I didn't need to talk about Troy Deeney because neither of them are competing against Henry or Lampard. So Henry goes through. Now we've got the spicier matches. So the Southampton versus Spurs, it was quite difficult to pick both players from each team initially. And then when I really thought about it, actually it's not. Southampton, I had 3 options. I had Danny Ings, I had Adam Lallana, I had Ricky Lambert. And to be honest, I couldn't really think of anyone else who really stood out in the FPL time, obviously, because obviously they had, pre-FPL, they had some, like Letizia and stuff.
Wouldn't it be great if Letizia could have been
exactly. We talked about Letizia in our old podcast, Team of the Past for 94-95 season. His stats were incredible, but obviously didn't play until the FPL started. So he doesn't get in there. So I went with Danny Ings, and mainly because I think when Lallana and Lambert, they got their big hauls, I think at that point they were still semi-surprised. Like as an FPL player, that Southampton team were good and everything seemed to come together, but I wouldn't ever think I'll be tempted to play Lambert as captain or Lallana as captain. I did think about Ings like a couple of years ago. He got 22 goals, 2 assists. I was thinking about making him captain when Southampton were playing at home against some of the lesser teams, but I never thought the same about Lambert or Lallana. Lambert actually had good stats. He got 13 goals and 10 assists in the season, and Lallana got 9 goals, 6 assists. But yeah, it was Danny Ings who was the kind of player who stood out to me that would probably compete against someone else. And Spurs wise, I mean, they've actually had some incredible FPL players, really. Gareth Bale, 21 goals one season. Jermaine Defoe, 17 goals. I mean, both of them were scoring plenty of goals before that, but they're for the big seasons. Eriksen, he got 4 seasons with double figure assists. He was, until he kind of fell out with Levy, he was someone you'd always think about putting him as captain. But
definitely, yeah.
Unfortunately, none of them came close to Harry Kane. His stats were incredible, actually. I've got to be honest. Like, you kind of don't even realize how good they are. I'm still not having him over Shearer, though. I'd still have Shearer over Kane. But yeah, 20 plus goals in 5 seasons, 14 assists last year, which was ridiculous. Him and Son had some kind of, they fell in love with each other last year. They were constantly assisting and scoring each other's goals. So yeah, it's Kane versus Danny Ings. And let's be honest, 2 very good strikers, but Ings has done it once or twice in his career at this level. And unfortunately, injuries got the better of him, but Harry Kane has to go through. The last game we got is West Ham versus Aston Villa, the Claret and Blue derby. And it is quite tough. I actually really, considering both teams have been in the Premier League for many years, neither really had many that good players, FPL players, that stood out. I had, for Aston Villa, I had Ashley Young, James Milner, Jack Grealish as options. I mean, you could have said Bond Hall maybe at one point, but realistically, there wasn't a huge amount to choose from. And then for West Ham, I had players like Fabianski, Arnautovic, even Antonio. And I ended up settling with Dimitri Payet for West Ham, and I ended up going with Ashley Young for Aston Villa. I felt like, to get to those 2 players, I felt like Fabianski was an option, because I do think he had an incredible season a few years ago where he was something like 4.5 million, and I think people had written him off because he came from Swansea, who just got relegated, and had an unbelievable season, made millions of saves, and I don't think he was that far behind Pope, who everyone was raving about that year. But to be fair, I couldn't really go for him over Payet. I think Payet, that season where he was the man, 9 goals, 13 assists, he was in that category of, like I said earlier, about players who you would be thinking, could I put the captaincy on him? If West Ham were playing one of the teams in the bottom and they were playing at home, the way he was playing at one point, he was unstoppable. And had it not been for, I guess, the ambition that he has, which is fair enough, I think he would have been an absolute star at West Ham for many years. But he fell out with the chairman, and that was definitely it for him. He moved on to went back to France and stuff. But yeah, he was my choice for West Ham. And then for Villa, Ashley Young, I think his stats were actually a little bit more impressive than I kind of gave him credit for when I first looked at him. He got 30 goals and 48 assists over 5 years for Villa. And yeah, I mean, again, just unbelievable. Well deserved his move to United.
Oh, yeah. And he did great at United as well, to be fair.
He did very well. And because he was on free kicks, corners and stuff like that at Villa, and because he was just constantly getting himself in positions, I'm going to go with him. Payet was, on paper, a better player than Ashley Young as a talented football player. But Ashley Young, one of the hardest working players that we've ever seen at Watford. But everywhere he's gone, he's been a proper professional. When he first came through at Watford, he was a skinny little kid who basically no one had any expectation for him, really. They knew he was quite good, but they didn't really think he was going to be that good. And he put on a lot of weight and became the player he did. And he's been brilliant. So Young wins out only over really the fact that over a longer period of time, he's done very well. Payet, only 1 season, didn't do enough for me, really. So that means that I've got Kane and Tottenham, who have qualified, got Frank Lampard, who's qualified with Chelsea, Thierry Henry with Arsenal, and Ashley Young with Aston Villa. And yeah, that's the knockout. So I believe next week we'll be having our Northern semi-finals.
Yes, that is correct. Obviously, we've got Cristiano Ronaldo at Manchester United. We've got Man City's Sergio Aguero, Mo Salah's in from Liverpool, and Jamie Vardy from Leicester.
Well, that's some tasty games next week. So we'll have that as our feature for next week's podcast. So you can look forward to that. And then obviously we'll carry on until we get to the final, which obviously is going to be a Southern win.
Definitely. Definitely not.
So yeah, we'll move on to our game week preview, which realistically is going to be, well, one of us has got to, well, I suppose we could draw it. One of us has got to top that head-to-head league, like I say, the 6-pointer league. What are you thinking, State? What's the situation? Who are you picking for next week?
Well, I've just done one transfer. I've done a game week transfer because Calvert-Lewin's going to be out for a while, so I brought someone in for him. So just the one transfer. I brought Raul Jimenez from Wolves in, Schmeichel in net. They're away at Brighton and Leicester. Back four again. Diaz from Man City away at home to Southampton. Varane, West Ham away. Yeah, with Antonio not there, I'm a bit more confident they could keep some clean sheets there, United. Wolves are at home at Brentford, Conor Cody. Joel Matip, Liverpool at home at Palace. Then Mo Salah is going to be my captain at home at Palace. Damari Gray's in there, Everton away at Villa. Yeah, I mean, Everton are doing well, so I fancy them. And then Diogo Jota is staying for one more game week. He needs to perform or he's gone. They're home at Palace again. And then going with front three, Jimenez home at Brentford. He's the new signing. Bamford away at Newcastle, Friday night game. And then Ronaldo away at West Ham. He's the vice captain, which leaves Scott Carson on the bench, won't ever play. Stuart Dallas first sub. Jacob Murphy, Newcastle second sub. And Mason Holgate third sub at Everton. So that's the team. It's pretty straightforward. It picks itself this week. And like I said, I think Salah and Ronaldo are going to probably be swapping over the captaincy quite a lot this season between the two of them.
When you pick your bench, you don't actually have to play players who genuinely are always benched for their team and never play. You can pick players who actually do come on the pitch and might actually help you out there.
Well, Murphy plays and Dallas plays. That's not too bad, who knows?
But yeah, nice work, mate. Jimenez has got some good fixtures, to be fair. So that's a good transfer.
Yeah, we'll see. I've done it, so it's probably not going to end up being good.
Mate, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear the confidence State, the guy who believes he's going to win, even if he hasn't got a chance. That's the State I know.
I'm going to beat you. So
okay, well, that's more like it. Well, and the team that's going to take you on this week in the head-to-head is I'm gonna go with a 3-5-2. I've got David Raya in goal, my number one. He's got Wolves away, tough game for him. I've got Antonio Rudiger, he's playing away at Spurs. I've got Kieran Tierney, who after that incredible 7-pointer against Norwich will hopefully follow that up with a solid 2-pointer against Burnley away. New boy Mark Cucurella has done enough to get himself into the first team lineup against Leicester at home. He's done well, and I'm hoping for some more bonus points from him. And then I've got Dele Alli, who I don't have to keep repeating this, but it's Chelsea versus Spurs. So, he's playing
tough game.
So he's playing Chelsea at home. Then I've got Martin Odegaard, Mason Mount, and I've got Said Benrahma, who's playing Manchester United at home. And then I've got cheeky little Musa Sissoko, who's got Norwich away. If there's ever a game that Musa Sissoko is going to get points at, it's Norwich, right? So come on, big man. I need some points this week, all right? And I'm not playing. I do need some points. And the reason why I need points is because my fixtures have gone from, proper 180 here. I've gone from having a really good set of fixtures to an absolute stinker of fixtures from my team. I've got Kane versus Lukaku in the Chelsea versus Spurs game, but I've got Kane as vice captain, Lukaku as captain. I can play Lukaku as captain, but realistically, I'm hoping that Big Rom does the job, but it's not easy, especially with Nuno Espirito Santo. He's got a very defensive mindset with his team, so he knows how to defend against these sides. So we'll see how that goes. I've got my bench is Ben Foster, Sergio Reguilon. I'm still not 100% sure about having him on the bench. I think Chelsea will score, but I don't like the idea of him being on the bench. Maybe I might bring him in for Sissoko or Dele, I don't know. But got Antonio on the bench who's not going to play, and I've got Soufal as my third sub. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, never matters.
Yeah, but I can't. Just to reiterate, mentioned it earlier. I can't make a sub this week because it's my fine. So I'm going to have to suck it and see, really. And on a positive note, on positive note, I've got two free transfers next week.
Might benefit you not being a tinker man.
Might be a blessing in disguise. Who knows?
You.
Yeah,
never know.
Exactly. But no, and I just want to point out that we don't have a quiz this week. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. The theme tune was a little bit too much for you lot, and you got way too excited. So no quiz this week. We might have a quiz next week. We might not. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, a lot of talking and a lot of great stuff. I'd just like to thank everyone for listening. I'd like to thank my co-host State for helping us out along the way. And one thing I keep forgetting, which I've actually written a note to myself to remind you guys, that State and myself have got Twitter addresses, which is at FPL_Southerner and at FPL_Northerner. Please get in touch. Tell us what you're thinking. If you're enjoying the podcast, if you're enjoying FPL, if you've got any ideas you want to throw away, or any things that you hate, if you don't like the shit list, you love the shit list, anything you want to say, we're all ears. We're getting older. We don't have nights out like we used to. We're in on Friday nights. We're family men. we're losers, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And we just want to talk to people.
Definitely.
So, no, I mean, jokes aside, it's as ever, it's been an absolute pleasure, State. And
same with you. Glad for another 3 points for the Northern Super Kings. And let's get another win this weekend, guys. Yeah.
Fingers crossed I can get off your shit list. Fingers crossed.
Definitely. Yeah, I hope so as well, mate. Really do. Okay. Cheers.
Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.
You guys.